Micah Franklin was drafted by the New York Mets in the third round in 1990 draft. Although he only played 17 games in the major leagues level, Franklin compiled an extensive minor league professional career. He played 1,141 games in 12 seasons. Wow, he got some oil behind those wheels a little bit. In the major leagues, he batted 324. That's a very 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 good batting average. Wow, in the minors, in the AAA, in the Indianapolis Indians in 2001, Franklin was one of the four players profiled in the documented film "A Player to Be Named Later." I didn't even know that. That's good to know. We're gonna get into that. He spent time in the scout department with the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2022. Franklin was also hired as a hitting coach for the very own Washington Nationals, a Double-A affiliate, the Harrisburg Senators. He also was appointed one of the very first ever managers for the Oakland Ballers, the Pioneer League, in the fall of 2023. In 2024, Ballers, I'm not released him, and he had went on to do other things. He has his own business, and he also holds a record for 29-25. How you doing, Micah?
All right, all right. How you doing now?
Man, that was a mouth. That was a whole little mouthful today. But with that being said, I appreciate you coming on today. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and let's get in right into it. So, Micah, let's talk about this draft. You got drafted in 1990 as a third rounder. That sounds pretty. That's pretty good. Back in the day, you're from California, from what I see. My question to you is, what was that like being drafted the third round? Back in 1990.
Yeah, back then, that's a long, long time ago now. Back then, it wasn't all how it was today. There was no information. The only way you found out if you even got drafted, the scout called you. So Daraka Shahi gave me a call, let me know I got drafted in the third round. That's school still going on and everything. So there's no cell phones back then. Everyone had a pager. So, you get paged and then, or something like that. That's the only way you find out. There's no information highway like now, lightning speed. So everything was different. Got drafted and then went off and played about a few days later.
That was pretty good. So from that point, being drafted from the Mets, when you went there, was you an outfielder? Was you an infielder? What position did you play?
Well, I got drafted as a shortstop, but in 15 years in pro baseball, I didn't play one inning at shortstop because, I always like to say, I was sponsored by Bricklayer. So with every free glove, I had a brick in it, and I forgot to take the brick out, So hitting was my thing, man. Hitting was my thing, So they moved me over to second base right away as soon as I got drafted.
Oh wow, that's funny. A bricklayer. I ain't heard that in a while. Hey, I can relate to the bricklayers. For the people that
Yeah.
know, we'll talk about that another day. But for the most part, that's pretty good. With that being said, being a third round draft pick, they didn't have the combine like they do now. So how did you prepare when you got drafted for the Mets? What was that like?
Well, I mean, back in our days, we just played baseball. That's all we did. We had scout teams, so we got to play against. Me being from San Francisco, you got to play against, all Cal Berkeley or St. Mary's, Stanford, Santa Clara. You could play against those colleges. So our scout team was pretty good. So we competed. Also, back in those days, we could use like major league pitchers would pitch for our scout team against those colleges. So you did that. And then that off season, going in, they did have an area code games, but the area code games was a real area codes. It was California's area code.
Correct.
So, and I actually didn't play on an area code team. I played on American Rookies USA team that went to Korea and Japan. So we played against the other area code teams, and that team was loaded. So we played that, and then scouts would see you, and then they'd go to your high school game, and they would call you. They were on your pager to let you know, hey, are you guys playing today? Is it raining? And that's kind of how it went. And I got drafted, and then I think it was a week later I was already in Kingsport, Tennessee.
Wow, wow. Going to Kingsport, Tennessee, which I've been there. I know what that's
Yeah,
like. Coming
yeah.
from California, so what was that transition for you? Honestly, coming from a warmer climate to, the country. What was that like for you?
Yeah, well, let's just say, man, they you talking about Klan rally going on at one point, and
Wow.
I'm like, what is going on here?
On.
You
Really?
know, and you from California. This went back in the NWA, Too Short. You know, all the
Right.
boys
Right.
back. You know, we had a different attitude.
Two. Right.
We was starting to stand up a little bit instead of just taking it. You know,
Correct. Correct.
and that was my attitude. That's how I walked around Kingsport, Tennessee with my radio in my duffel bag back in those days, and that's how that's what I did. We didn't, you
Yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
all these phones with music, and you just put these little earbuds in,
Right.
So that's how I rolled there,
I
and it
get it.
was a different experience, man. It was something interesting.
I know it was because I actually played in Tennessee as well, coming from Chicago, and it was an interesting situation for me to say the least. Adjusting to the culture was one thing, and also trying to stay positive and play. That's one thing. But with that being said, how long was you did you stay with the Mets in that single A? Did you go to double A immediately? How was that transition?
Oh, double A immediately. Oh no, 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 no. Oh man, I was in Kingsport, Tennessee. I was there about a month and a half. That was back then what we had. We had Butch Husky on the squad,
Yeah,
Hector Carrasco. So we had some boys on the squad, Aaron Ledesma. And then about a month later, I got into it. One of the coaches said a couple of things to me, talking about back in those days, he said, "Hey, they didn't like the way I acted a little bit. I had swag, That was
yeah.
Deion Sanders' day, so I believed, we had little chains on my shoes. I put Hitman, and that's just how we were.
Right, right, right,
Well,
right,
that didn't go over well, and maybe I did a few things to upset him. That's fine, and he took it out on me one day, telling me that." If you want to use the bathroom, you ask me first. And then he said, "Yo, yeah." You said when jump, you say how high and all these things. And,
Wow.
and I was like, hey man, I ain't nobody slay. That's me being dumb and young at 18.
Right, right,
And
right,
he said,
right.
you said another word, you out of here. I turned around. I remember seeing Butch, and I was like, man, I ain't nobody slave.
Correct.
Boom, they sent me home. So I got I got suspended my first year playing pro ball for being knucklehead, and and trying to stand up where you can't always
Right,
just stand up.
right,
There's ways to do it, and I just didn't handle it
right,
correctly.
right. And with that being said, which leads me to the next question. So, when you're dealing with that transition, what did you learn from that you can tell the listeners if they go through situations like that now?
Okay, so from that experience right there, at some point you gotta, hey, sometimes you got bad people and you don't need to react at that moment. You can do it another way. If that guy's saying that, you have people you can talk to after the game, make a phone call and say, hey, this ain't right, man. What's going on here? And then see what happens from there. But, I was a knucklehead at that age, and you feel like, you can say whatever you want to say. And that's just not the way life works.
Right. You're right. Especially, with nowadays, anything happens, anything can pop off, and then you got to deal with the situation. And then
Yeah.
one of the things that I say, Micah, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Are we dealing with your flesh, or we dealing with what are we dealing with? Are we want to make your ego bigger, or at the end of the day, it's not worth it. So, you said that you played there. Then, so after your suspension, you you go back to go play ball. What was the new Micah, young Micah, like after he went back?
Young Michael wasn't much different. Let me tell you. Ah, so the next year, I
Oh
had the
my.
same coach in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I got moved up, and he got
Okay.
moved up, so I had to
Okay.
deal with him again. So yeah,
Wow.
and like I said, the young Micah wasn't so smart, and I was still hard headed. So it's still the same thing. I remember one time, I'm in extended spring training. Jerry Hunter comes down, and at the time he was director of player management. And I'm killing extended spring. I mean, I'm crushing. He said he called me in the office. I thought they were gonna send me up to A ball, high A
Right.
ball, whatever
Right.
A ball, and go play a game or something. Because we're in Port St. Lucie. It's just right across the street, right there. The complex is there to go play. Man, he said, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You walking around like you better than everyone here." I said, "Well, I am better than everyone here. I'm the best player here." Man, he grabbed that phone and threw it at me, hit me with it. I mean, it was yeah. But that was still the young Micah. The young Micah didn't learn anything better until the day I met Willie McGee, and that's when everything changed when I was
Mm.
19.
Yeah, that's like that Willie McGee. I mean,
Yes,
that's
sir.
that's one of my questions. But while we're talking about Willie McGee, okay, so you met Willie McGee. How did you meet Willie McGee, and what was the first time? What was the first thing he taught you?
Okay, so I was at a banquet, and my man Daragasha, he was a scout that he introduced me to Mike Fielder. So Tiny said, "Hey, I'll hit over at Willie's." So I went over to Willie's and I met Willie. And a lot of cats, they go to Willie's and Willie works hard. So they go there for a day or whatever, and they're like, man, and they don't show up. Well, I'm from San Francisco. His place was in Hercules. It was at his mom's house. He lives right up the street, so he has a batting cage in the backyard. And then, if anyone knows anything about the Bay Area, at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, the fog and everything is still there, and it's cold. People
Mm-hmm.
think it's hot now in the winter. It's cold. It's not. It ain't snow cold, but it's cold to be out there.
Right, right, right.
So I'm waiting at his house. It's locked up in the back. So I wait there every morning at 7:30. Every morning at 7:30 until eventually he said, "Man, you beat me here every day. Here's a key." He gave me the key, so I would open up every morning, and we hit Monday to Friday together for 9 years until I had to go to
Wow.
Japan and stop playing. But when I got called up, he was the guy that I stayed with. My wife, my daughter, we stayed with him in St. Louis, and that's the guy that changed my life.
Well, so what did Willie McGee teach you, as far as baseball wise, hitting? Because you're a
Uh,
hitter. You're a hitter. So tell me a
I
little bit
was a
about that.
hitter. I was a hitter. Willie used to just talk about. So we would take the first round. We would go the other way. We were both switch hitters. So we going the other way. We had the tee there. We just go and line drives the other way. Line drives, forever. And then we'd go up the middle. Then we pull. Then we go off the machine. And they had the iron mic. We did the same thing. We just hit line drives the other way. Then we drive balls the other way. Drive balls the other way. And I could bomb. I was a home run hitter. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I learned such at an early age the importance of hitting the ball, line drives the other way and up the middle. I didn't know then why I do it now as a hitting coach. Now I understand why,
Correct.
but it was successful because of doing that. It just stuck with me. So the other thing was the discipline of hitting. You walk up, just the discipline. You got to go there every day and you got to hit. We would swing 500 times a day. We would hit. Then we did Mac Newton workout in there, and then we played ping pong. He would kick my butt every day. He never let me win because he killed me. I got
Mm.
better, but he was phenomenal at it.
Right, right,
And it's
right.
just the work ethic, but just not just the work ethic. He taught you to appreciate how hard this is, and yes, we are gonna get screwed.
Right,
It's
right.
not, but you work hard, and good things can happen.
Correct, correct. And it's baseball, like you said. I mean, it's baseball.
Yeah,
You're gonna fail. I mean,
yeah.
ain't nobody gonna go 1,000, hit 1,000. That ain't gonna happen ever on this earth. But with that being said, being with Willie, who else is another influential player that played in the bigs that you can say that you've learned something from as a
Well, I
hitter?
learned something from every single player I played with, whether it was the worst player in the team or the best player in the team. There was not one player I couldn't learn something from. So that's unfair to say one person or the other. But just playing against, I can say who I idolize. Like,
Go ahead.
Fred McGriff. I
Fre-
mean,
Freddie,
and
Griff,
Fred
Griff, Griff.
McGriff, Chipper Jones. We both got drafted in '90 together, but he was a switch hitter, and I loved how he could do it. Fred McGriff. It's ironic that both of them bombed, but they both drove balls the other way up the middle and pulled one big strikeout. They were just hitters, and I
Right,
just as a power guy, that's what I wanted to be, not just a
right.
guy that struck out and walked up there and did it. I wanted to be considered a hitter too,
Correct, correct, correct.
But
You
yeah,
know,
those two guys I really loved watching hit, and I tried to hit like them while I was playing. Now everyone wanted to hit like Barry, so we messed around. That was the best hitter in the world, so I watch him, But that's a whole nother story. There ain't nobody can hit like Barry,
that's right.
Same thing with Griff, So
That's
that's
right.
different. Yeah, yeah,
That's right. So, you talked about hitting the opposite way, which nowadays kids don't really work on that. Very few, let's just put it that way, very few, unless to get a trainer like yourself or me. So, what can you tell the listeners? How do you hit going to the opposite field? Can you kind of break it down just to
yeah.
talk about that?
That's a great, great question because I always hear people talk about go to the opposite field, stay back, hit it out front. Well, that's great. Yes, once you figure out and understand and know how to do it, that's great. But until a player can even understand how to do that properly and why he's doing it. So now I realize why we hit the ball the other way first. So many things good happen. We talk about our body, how we can stay stacked, how we don't spin, how we rotate properly, we don't over rotate. The bat path, we can stay connected with a clean, good bat path. When you hit a ball, I always talk about you want to hit it one or two balls after that that's actually at the same angle versus already turning in. So your bat's through a ball and it chases the ball or it follows the ball and create backspin. So we have to allow it to get deeper. So we see the ball deeper and our body doesn't have to spin and rotate as fast. We can slowly do it and stay in control. Now we have a decel that doesn't, we don't spin, we decel and allows the ball to get even better backspin, hit harder. So these are all the smart things that the old school taught us, but they just taught us by us doing it versus internal instructions, which just confuses everyone.
Correct, correct.
It makes
You're
it
right.
tough.
I mean, you're right because I mean, I coach high school baseball here in South Florida, and I tell them to go the opposite way. Like you said, they don't know how to do that. They're
Yeah.
like, "What are you talking about? I'm trying. What are you?" I'm like, "Okay, here we go." But as a coach, you don't really have time to teach that. When you have 25 players, you don't have time to teach each person. You have to get a trainer for that, and
Yeah.
any suggestions far as, what's the first thing you think they should do to be a better hitter? Okay, now you said old school, which we're both old school. My question to you is, we never talked about, you talked about, we started to show off, you talked line drive, you talking about hitting line drives, hitting the opposite direction, but you never talked about hitting bombs. Like now, that's all kids talk about, launch angle and bombs. Can you deviate the difference? Because you talked about also, you said being a complete hitter. Explaining what's the difference between a bomb hitter and a complete hitter.
So here's, even though Barry Bonds was a complete hitter, he hit bombs, but he also was a hitter. Same thing with McGriff. So back then, there was very few guys that just hit bombs and wasn't a
Correct.
hitter. Okay, so that's different. But a bomb is a ball that just is launched. Now I hit home runs. I had a home run every 17 at bats in my career in 15 years of playing, right? But my balls didn't go. My balls just went a little bit, over the fence. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I
Right.
consistently did that because I had a good swing path. I wanted to put balls and I swung efficiently. Versus people now, their swing is so out of control, and it's when you're talking about teaching those guys at high school level to hit the ball the other way. It's just a shame because these kids, a lot of them have had private lessons, and now we got to teach them how to hit.
The
It's
right way.
amazing how many times we're teaching people how to hit at an older age when what's going on in today's day.
Correct.
They listening
Correct.
to the wrong folks.
Right. Right. So you said swing path. Explain to me what is swing path for people that don't know what that is.
Nice, nice. So my whole quote, my whole thing, saying everything is 7 to 22 directional bat path. So when a ball is coming in, you have to be in that path of the baseball,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be connected. Now, I'm not going to sit here all day and talk about that. So we'll skip some and get a little bit more. So now our path is in the direction of that bat path, to the ball, and now we have a timing. Okay. So then the timing comes in. You can actually have a bad swing path, but right at the perfect timing, it's a good swing path.
Correct.
So that's a little deeper than just saying a swing path because the way we move and we do it properly, we get on playing with the ball and we can hit the multiple spots of the plate. So depending on where our bat is in the moment of contact, we can have more time to actually be successful.
I get you. I get
So
you.
that's where we're going with the swing path. I'll leave it as simple as that because it can
Right.
get a
Right.
little over
Okay.
people,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
boring,
Yeah.
very boring.
Google overload,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Man, this is cool. Hey, check this out. You said you played 1,141 games in the minor league. Was that frustrating to you for guys that are trying to get to that next level and they don't make it. So what did you? I mean, what happened to you? Did you build character? Tell me a little bit about this 1,141 games you played.
Yeah, so I didn't tell you that. You said it. I ain't got a clue how many games. I just know I had about 7 years in AAA, so I know that much.
I did the research. I did the research,
Yeah,
Mike. It says
yeah. Let me tell
1,141
you.
games. So I'm thinking because everybody wants to go to the show. You
Yeah,
didn't get to the show as much as you like. So how did
yeah.
it keep
No,
you
no doubt,
focused?
no
How'd you
doubt.
keep you
So,
focused?
so here's the thing. In my era, I don't know if the worst mistake I did was not take steroids, but I did not take them. So I don't know if that would have changed anything or not. I just would have had even better numbers. But
Right.
there's one year I had when I was with the Cubs. I was in AAA with the Cubs. I think I had 356 at bats, I had 29 home runs, and I hit another one in the playoffs. I had 30, 95 RBIs. I hit what I hit 329, something like 1,000 something OPS or whatever the number. It was some crazy, ridiculous numbers, right? I didn't go to the big leagues, and it was a year after I went to the major leagues, and I hit 324 with 2 home runs in my short span. I even got one off Smokes, so that was my claim to fame. So I did well, but there was really no argument because let's talk about who was in the big leagues at that year. Sammy Sosa, you know, I mean, he was bombing. Henry Rodriguez, Lance Johnson, and then Brant Brown was the rookie up that year. So you're
Right.
not going to mess with the rookies. There's no spots for you. The year
Correct.
before, when I was in the big leagues with the Cardinals, I went up for Brian Jordan right when he got hurt. So I went up. You had Brian Jordan, Ray Langford, Ronnie Gant, Willie
Right.
McGee, John Mayberry.
You're
Where
loaded.
where could I go? So guys in their 30, 40, 34 years old, 35, 36, they're playing like their prime when they shouldn't be able to play the game anymore. And it should be my turn to go up.
Right.
The next, era guys go up. Well, that era was in a holding ground. So you didn't get frustrated because you needed to put food on the table. You didn't get paid much back then, but it was enough to put food on the table and to go to winter ball. And I was lucky enough to go to Japan after that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Japan for 2 years and then went to Korea for 2 years. But you know, I always put my mind. You have to put your mind in the right place and not get hateful and spiteful, and just be thankful of what I got. Because with some people that can't say they were major leaguers, I can at least always say that.
Right, right. But you said it right. You said about your mind. It's all about the mind because the mind takes you where you want to go. If you think about something long enough, you become what you think. Because then you start acting like it because you see it in your mind and you start acting it out, which that brings me to the next question. You went over to Japan, and how was that transition coming from MLB minor league to Japan? So what was that transition like, far as competition wise?
Competition was pretty. It was pretty good. Back then, I remember we faced Matsusaka right before he went to the states. From Matsui to Ichiro, so there were some guys that came over to the states back then that really had success. So uh, it was pretty tough. It's the way they're pitching now in the major leagues. It's very similar to Japan, where they'll throw an all-speed pitch at any count, and that's what they're doing here. So they're mixing it up. So that made it tough to hit. Whether the ball was 98 or 92, it didn't matter because the speed of the off-speed was slower. So the differential of the fastballs. So you had to get used to that, and you had to really understand the importance of having balance. And balance is
Okay.
huge to hit. And in today's game, a lot of the hitters aren't using that balance that they need. But in Japan, it was wild, man. It'll be packed, and you got drums going off. You got all this music and horns while you playing. They got like professional. Every team has their own like band and stuff. So it's
Wow.
pretty cool, man. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. It sounds like it was like going to an HBCS football game for a
Yeah,
baseball game.
no, that's
That's what
how.
it,
Yeah, it is. It's just like that. It's like going and watching a soccer game where they got all their music going on. That's exactly right, and it's pretty cool. I
I mean,
enjoyed it.
I mean, as a player, you probably enjoyed it because also you coming from a different country, it's different. But then you go back to the states, you're thinking, wow, we don't play ball like they do
No,
because
no.
at all, and with that, I want to talk about coachings because I know you do a little coaching. So who was one of your very favorite coaches and why when you were in minor leagues and major leagues?
Man, Johnny Scott is really high. So he was a coach. After I got let go at the Mets, I went right to the Reds, and I got Johnny Scott, man. And I it was so different having a guy that he just finished playing. He was playing. The other guy never played. He was just son of someone, you know. He got a I think a family draft or whatever he was. But this guy played and he understood, you know, things that different things that go on in the season. Then right the next year, you know, then I got Mark Berry, who was unbelievable. Another guy that got it. You know, when we played, it wasn't so. He understood how what we go through and emotions, everything. So that was great. But you know, there was a lot of coaches, and back in those days, it was different because the manager had to do so much. We didn't have hitting coaches. I didn't have hitting coach until I was in AAA. So,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know, I didn't even know. You know, besides that, there was just a you know, there's a lot of influences, but you had to be your own coach back then. That's the
Mm,
crazy thing. You know, that's where
mm.
you learned all your stuff. So in the
So
backyard with Willie is where I learned how to hit because it wasn't we didn't sit there and talk about like mechanics, but we did external drills that taught us those mechanics.
okay.
And
Mm,
that's a lot of what I take in now when I do my coaching because I know not just me, so many players learn from that. Internally, man, we just messing kids up right now.
yeah, and so you said that because it sounds like you did a lot of old school stuff, backyard stuff. That's how I learned how to hit too, as well, Mike. I wasn't. 'Cause I'm from Chicago. We had a backyard. I had an alley, and I usually we didn't have the money at the time. I just pick up rocks. Honestly, that's how I taught myself how to hit. I had a little wiffle bat, and I'll throw it in the air because I'm the only left-hand person in my family. So think about it, the only left-hand person, and no one played baseball but me. So I'm thinking, okay, how I'm going to learn how to play? And I just kind of taught myself. I started throwing the ball, throwing the rock up, and just swinging. I asked my mom to buy me a wiffle bat, because that didn't cost a lot, a
Yeah.
little wiffle bat, and I just started swinging, bro, and swinging and swinging. So I said that because you talked about the respect of the game. You talk about Willie McGee. He taught you that how to appreciate the moment, appreciate now, not tomorrow. Appreciate the now, and that's one reason why I believe you had longevity because you didn't let the game take you out of the game. You brought the game to you. In other words, you control your own destiny. Which that brings me to the next question. All these kids think that they can hit long balls. Every kid that I come up to, they think that they're going to go to the league and they're going to hit the long ball. So my question to you is, can you tell the audience something about hitting because you're a hit guy? My question is, I'm trying to break this down, Mike. It's kind of a difficult way to break it down because everybody wants to be a long ball hitter. I mean, I got a kid now. Well, he's gone now. He
Everyone.
went to college. He go to D1 school. He's about 5 foot. He was 5 foot tall for so long. Now he's about 5 foot 9, 5'10" at the max, maybe on a good day. And he was fast. So he went to a trainer. I don't want to say the name because they're big and everyone knows them. And they taught him launch angle. That's all he talks about is hitting a home run. Home run. He's five. Come on, dude. You're not Altuve. It's not too many Altuves. So my question is, can you tell the audience be the best person you can be? That's what I'm trying to break that question down because I'm so frustrated that these kids are really shortening their careers because they're trying to be someone who they're not. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say, Micah? So
Yeah.
can you help me out with that to the audience?
Yeah, there's one in a trillion chance those guys are going to be power hitters, and they're gambling on that. They're banking on that versus playing the odds and the odds that they could be a better successful player by hitting line drives. So they're buying, I call it Jack and the Beanstalk, Fool's Gold. You know, Magic Beans is gonna just, you know, have a beanstalk up there and steal that gold up. Come on, it's just not happening, and they're getting absolutely fooled by so many people that are telling them they got to drive the ball better, drive the ball, hit it in the air. And you can hit the ball in the air, even the speed guys, but let's do it correctly. I mean, my whole thing is 7 to 22, and the reason I say that is a launch angle. So I take their play of a launch angle into 7 to 22 because in the major leagues, that's a 661 batting average this year with like a 1600 OPS. So there you go. Anyone can play with those numbers. That's just a line drive in the major leagues. That's how good of a hitter. I tell people, would you take that? And they're like, yeah. I said, then why are you banking on when a ball is hit 30 to 40 degrees in the major leagues, under 95, the batting average is 125. Why are you banking on that? Sometimes it's 170. Why would you want that? Now, Otani can hit 350 at that number.
Right.
Now, that's Otani. They're different guys.
Correct. That's right. And
Yeah.
everybody's gift is different. I mean, I was a speed guy. I was a speed guy. I was more like a slap hitter, Ronnie. I mean, what's his name? Ricky Henderson type guy,
Yeah.
or a James Lofton guy. Those are the type of guys I was. Now I can hit the long ball, but I was taught line drives and hit the ball where it's at. If the ball's on the
Yes.
outside part of the plate, you take it opposite. So when I talk to kids now, Micah, they're like, Coach, I said, why are you pulling that ball when it's the outside part of the plate? Explain to me why. Tell me why are you doing that? Why?
Yeah.
Just tell me why. Give me a coach. I don't know why. I said, well, I know why, and let's stop doing it. But then they wonder why batting average goes down because they're not hitting the ball where the ball's pitched. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
That's what we talked about when we were old school. We talked about hit the ball where it's pitched. Don't pull
Yeah.
it if it don't need to be pulled. And very few guys that pull the ball can really hit it out the park. Very
Yeah.
few. So
Yeah.
with that, I want to talk about being a Jewish baseball player playing a sport that originally, Jackie Robinson got the people of color in. My question to you: what was your challenges like being a Jewish, half black player in the MLB or minor leagues?
Well, I had no challenges whatsoever because no one looked at me as being Jewish. No one looked at me as being 50% um, white. If you looked at my skin color, they only looked at me as black anyway. So there was no challenge. It didn't make a difference. To answer that question, it was as simple as that.
So they treat you basically what you look like a black guy. Period.
Yeah, yeah, period.
Okay, okay, I get it. Because I'm just saying, I'm looking at you. Because I looked at you up. You're part of the Jewish baseball tradition. They got you in there. I looked at some things. I got a few notes on you. I was like, oh, that's a great accomplishment because there's not very many that I know of Jewish black baseball players. Are you the
Yeah.
first? Are you the
Um,
first?
man, I couldn't even answer that question. I wish I could.
That's a good question.
I know
I
at the
just
time there wasn't many Jewish Major League Baseball players at all. So I was in the top so and so for ever making it with the major leagues,
wait,
performing the way we perform. So yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's not many that actually at all.
I think there's one guy he played for the Brewers. I can't remember his name, but he's out
Ron,
now. Ron,
yeah,
Ron, Ron. Yeah,
yeah.
he said he's Jewish as well, but I think he's done. He's done. He's retired. And what was one of the favorite fields you like to play at when you were playing pro ball? Your favorite field?
My favorite field was probably Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, and why? Was it a short yard?
Yeah, that was most of it.
And
you
and,
know,
and, and right field?
no left field. I like to go oppo.
Oh, you like to go?
I was
Okay,
a switch hitter, but I liked hitting oppo. So yeah, no, it was very similar to like a Wrigley Field. Wind blew in
okay,
some days, wind blew out some days, but it was just a comfortable place to be. I really enjoyed that place, and I hit well. So you're always gonna like a place you hit well. I don't know anyone that hit bad somewhere and go, oh, I love that place.
yeah,
Indy
yeah,
was off the hook. I loved Indianapolis. That was real nice. That was like a big. I mean, you know, the Tokyo Dome in Japan was unbelievable.
yeah,
There's just so many places you play that were amazing. I grew up in San Francisco, so it was the coolest dream to ever play in Candlestick Park and
yeah,
sitting there watching Barry Bonds hit while you playing right field. I mean, that was like a dream.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
things
yeah.
you can never ever, people would never experience. I got to experience. So there's so many places. I don't have a favorite. I just have memories.
Well, I'm gonna go back to your memory now. Let's talk about a memory. So,
Okay.
give me one memory that you really enjoy that you'll never forget that you want to share with the audience.
In playing baseball,
Yes, sir.
it was a day I got to tell my wife, my mom and dad who were in Louisville at the time that I just got called up to the major leagues because they put in the sweat with me and the
Mm,
tears and all the things to get to that point. And they were actually there at that moment where I could tell them. Because remember, back then, they didn't have all the technology we have now. So they just happened to be there. So They
Right.
were there, and then they
Well,
got to fly to Philly to yeah, to got to Philly and experience that first day that I played.
and who did you hit? Who did you pitch? Who pitched against you that first at bat?
Man, I don't even remember. Yeah,
You
I
don't
don't
remember.
even, I don't even remember, man. You didn't know all this stuff, man. They didn't even tell you who you pitching. You just go up to the plate, know
He
it's a
just
righty
swing.
or lefty, and hit.
He just
And
go.
yeah, we didn't, man. Come on, we didn't have none of this stuff, man. You walked up to the plate and you hit. That's
Hey,
it, you
you're
know.
right. You're right. I mean, I just said it for. I'm doing. I'm helping out the audience. I'm helping them
Yeah,
out because they're like,
yeah.
why you didn't ask him who he hit against, or who was this? So I'm just trying to do. I'm trying to think as a fan. Okay,
I hear you. I honestly have no idea.
okay.
No idea.
So you talked about one of my favorite people. You talked about Fred McGriff. His swing was. He had serious launch angle. That dude could swing. He'll swing from here to New York City. You talked about what's the other guy name that hit?
Chipper
Chipper
Jones, Barry
Jones. He
Bonds.
talked, and
Yeah,
also Barry Bonds. He's my, Barry. Barry's my man. I love Barry. I mean, I know he's a man with a tune, and but he can back up everything he does. I have so much respect for his game. I don't know him individually, so were you able to have a chance to? You said did you ever play in Candlestick Park at all?
yeah,
Did you?
yeah. Play the candlestick.
Okay. Was Barry playing that game? Did
Yes,
he
he
play?
was. Yes,
And
he
did what?
was.
So who were you with at that time?
Out to the Cardinals.
Okay. So you were with Willie McGee. Was Willie McGee with you then?
Yes. Yeah, Willie was there.
And who else was on that team at that time?
We had Ronnie Gann, we had Ray Langford, we had Brian Jordan, we had Delano DeShields, we had yeah, we were loaded.
You were
John
loaded.
Mabry, Gary Gaetti,
You were loaded.
uh yeah,
And
Dimitri Young,
who played center field at that?
Agnozzi,
Who's played center?
Ray Langford, Ray.
Okay, yeah, because I mean
Yeah.
that team was loaded. They had Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah, very a lot of them. Fernando Valenzuela, rest in
Really?
peace. He was on the squad. Honeycutt, you
Wow,
know, I mean Andy Bennis, Alan Bennis. I mean, we was loaded, you know.
wow. I mean, it sounds like it because I interviewed Orlando Merced.
I just left out about 20 people. Gag. I'm just everybody was on the team. I don't want to leave everyone out.
I
Go
mean,
ahead,
it's
go ahead.
because I interviewed Orlando a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the same situation as you. He said we were so loaded, we had so many great players on our team, we wasn't even tripping if I didn't get to play. But
Yeah, yeah,
nowadays it's the opposite. Kids nowadays, oh man, they're like
yeah.
get an attitude, have a tantrum, and
Yes, they
so I
do.
mean, can you give them some wisdom when you are with all this talent? How do you adjust to making it on the team and try to be a positive impact on that team if there's a lot of players that are good?
Yeah, I always tell everybody working hard only gives you a chance. Okay, so let's
Okay,
let's let's be real. Okay,
okay,
there's a lot of really good people. You gotta get lucky, and at the same, they flip a coin and you get called up, another guy doesn't. They're doing good. Don't sit there and pout. You know, everyone got a story. Everybody got a story. You know, and they're like, yeah, but I did this, and I've been fortunate, especially in pro ball. I get to sit there and talk to them about that. I can turn and say, look at my bubblegum card. You know, just Google me. There's stories, you know what I
right,
mean?
right,
There's
right, right,
stories, and everyone got one. You
right.
know, there was plenty of people that was just in the same spot as me. I go to my dog, you know, Harvey Pullum, Ernie Young, all those guys. We was all in the same boat, you know. Derek White, all of us do. Terrell, I can go down on like Terrell. I can go so many guys that only got a taste of the big leagues are not even there, you
Correct.
know. And hey, man, life ain't fair.
Right, right.
Life ain't fair.
It's not.
And at the end of the day, is this what you love? And if this is what you love, you choose it. You get to choose whether you want to play it or not. And if you choose it, enjoy it.
Correct.
Enjoy every moment of it, no matter where you are or what you're doing, or you think you're not getting a fair shot. Whenever you get your shot, do your thing. And then you'll get your chance, but don't pout. It's okay to be upset. Ain't nothing wrong with being upset. Use that to fire you,
Correct.
pump you up, but understand it. You will get your chance, and when you get it, be ready.
That's right. That's right, Micah. That's so powerful. Which I got two more questions before we end. So
Yes,
how do
sir.
you deal with a parent of a kid that's think he should be playing and the parents calling the coach, jumping all on the coach? So how do you make that adjustment as a player? Any wisdom you can give the player from the parents perspective? Because I mean, there's parents. When we were growing up, my parent never said anything to the coach. Never,
Yeah, yeah,
never. She didn't go to the field. She said, "You just go out there and bust your butt. Just you
no
got to
doubt.
outwork him." That's all she said. She said, "I'm not going to be involved in all this politics." She didn't do that, and my dad didn't either because he was militant. He's like, "Well, go out there and work." So my question to you: how do you handle this situation for parents? Give them some wisdom how to handle a situation when they think their
I
kids
think you
should play.
got two things here. I think you got two things. You have where you are talking about playing at a school or you playing on a travel team. So it's so different in today's day.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
we're talking about a travel parent and he's paying and he's not playing much, he's not getting things, but he's out there. I don't have a problem with a parent calling to find out. Now he might find out, and I think the person, the coach needs to tell the truth. Well, come to practice. See how he's practicing.
right, 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 right.
You know what I mean? See, you might should be upset at your kid because he's not giving you his money's worth that you're
Correct.
paying all this money to play there. He ain't participating in the he's not trying. So you're upset at the wrong person.
Yeah, you're right. That's
Or
wrong.
you make it a thing where, hey, I like this player better. And now you may have to take your player to another place because no matter what your kid does, he's gonna like that other kid better. And that's different. Now, you're at a high school or you at junior high, whatever, man, that's the coach. He gets to make the decision. When you get your chance, do whatever you can.
I love the way you said it. That's point blank. Period. I love it. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
bottom line. I mean, because it's. I mean, I didn't even know college players like that. There's college players
Yes.
doing. I'm like, dude, are you serious? How old are you? 19, 20, 21, 22. You still got your mom and dad calling you?
Yes.
So that's for another. Like we said, that's for
Yeah.
another show, another
Yes, it
day.
is.
We're
It's
not gonna
something.
even. We're not gonna go there. We'll meet up again. So I got one last question for you, Micah. I appreciate you coming out,
Yes,
sharing some
sir.
wisdom. You share so much wisdom already. My question is this. This is the post game. It's called post game talk. It's my
All right.
last question. So you got to give me an answer. This is one question for the listeners. You only have 30 minutes. 30 minutes and this player can be dead or alive. Who would you like to talk to or play with for 30 minutes? Go. Tell me that person. He can be
Whoa,
dead or
whoa, whoa.
alive.
We can only play with one?
Only one.
Man, that's a tough one. See, that's wrong. So that's wrong. I'm gonna give
Mike,
multiple, and then I'm gonna tell you my one. So
go ahead.
obviously, you would want to be sitting in them with Barry, but I already know it don't matter because I can never be Barry. So why? You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be him then, because I can watch him on TV. Why?
So who you gonna
So
pick?
so for me, it's Fred McGriff because that's the guy, man. I got to stand on first base and I look up because no one knows how big he is. And man, I looked up at him. I'm like, wow. He was like, man, he was something special there. So I already sat down with my man Willie forever. Love Ricky, got to sit down, but yeah, it's Fred McGriff.
So what would you ask him? What would you say? You
Oh,
got
you
30
want to know what I'm
minutes.
gonna say to him?
Yeah, you got 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes. What would you say to him?
How does it feel to twirl that bat at home plate and look at that pitcher and watch that ball go out of the park? This and they be like, man, how he hit that? Yeah.
Oh, that's all you're gonna ask him for 30
That's
minutes.
that's that's all. That's the only question I want to know. I don't need it. Come on, man. I ain't gonna sit there and be like, "Hey, how you do this? How you?" Because that's how he do it. You know what I mean? So for base, I just want to know how it feel. I know how to go ahead and hit my bombs. I get my home runs off anyone. I ain't worrying about that. I just want to know how it feel for him because it looks so smooth when he do it.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
does. It does look smooth.
Yeah.
He has one of the smoothest. Him and also Ken Griffey,
Oh
and
yeah, Griff, another story. Like I said, I can't pick Griff because I used to mess around and try to play and do it. Man, I can't ever be like that. So,
right, right,
what I'm gonna ask him? Hey, well, how should I hold my hands? It don't matter. It don't matter. It ain't never gonna be him. That's my problem. All these players, all these kids are trying to hit like these dudes who they not.
right.
If you a little speedster, you so whatever you are, man, go find that player. How you know what I mean? Who you are, you emulate. We emulated our kind of guys who were like us growing up. We pretended to have that batting stance, playing strikeouts, wiffle ball, whatever. Man, I didn't pick Frank Thomas.
Right,
I'm
right,
5'10" and a half, 5'11".
right,
I'm gonna pick someone like Frank. It's like they pick Judge now. These are these are human beings. If they stood next to them, couldn't believe what they looked like.
Correct.
These guys look amazing. So you got to pick somebody, at least what you can do.
Right. You're right. I mean, that's why I said that I like two players, Barry Bonds, Ricky
Yeah,
Henderson.
yeah,
I
no
know
doubt.
those are guys I like because I'm 6'3", two
Yeah,
hundred pounds, and Barry was about my size back then, and also Ricky Henderson was a leadoff hitter, and I ran a 6'4", 60. I can fly. And
yeah,
my
yeah,
coach said, listen, stop trying to hit the long ball. Stop. Stop it right now, or you're not going to
yeah.
play. They had to threaten me. You're not going to play. All right, we ain't going to try that no more. But it
You
is
just
what it
nailed it.
is. It
You
is
nailed
what it
it.
is.
What'd you say? Your coach.
My coach told me,
You know
you're
what the
not going to
coaches
play.
say now, though. You know what they say now. The coaches tell a kid to hit the long ball
No.
because they read someone on Instagram who a fake coach or rent a coach telling them this is what you got to do and you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do that.
No.
Come on, man. They couldn't hit themselves and they sitting there
Correct.
teaching hitting. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
like me trying to teach infield right now. You know, come on. I can tell them all the stuff in the manual, but that's about it. I couldn't give them no secret sauce because
Right.
I'm gonna miss the ball. It's gonna
Right.
fall out my glove. You know?
Right. Right. You're doing what God gave you the gift to do. You just do what God
Yeah,
gave me the gift. Don't try to be somebody who you're not.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I guess that's why I coach, and I'm like, listen, stop trying to be a home run hitter. I don't care if you get mad, Mike. I don't
yeah,
care. You can
yeah,
get mad all you want. I don't care. I'm trying to win. I want to keep my job, and I want to build on what I got. I mean, you're not a home run hitter. Well, coach, you telling me I can't hit? No, I didn't say that. I said you're not a home run hitter. That's a difference. People hear what they
yeah.
want to hear, Micah.
No
They hear
doubt,
what
no
they
doubt.
want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth because the truth will set you free. With that,
Thank you.
man, I just want to tell you thank you, man. And you got any closing remarks you want to say to the audience before how to connect with you and your service you got up in your training?
Yeah, yeah. You can always Instagram me at Micah MICAHFRANKLIN. That's Franklin at 56. Check it out. Check it out because yeah, I throw a lot of information out there just for free to help people. Like I said, I will say this right now. In the major leagues, I ain't never seen a 300 hitter sit on the bench.
I love this guy. Hey, I love what you said because you're just blunt. Don't even
It's
care.
it,
Hey, this
yeah,
is what it is. This is
it
what it
is.
is.
Let's be honest. There's not enough honest folks out there in this game. They got to put their arm around you and lie to you in your
Yeah.
face and then say stuff behind your back because they're not honest.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, brother. But like I said, one of my main things on all that getting understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. You gave him wisdom, and all that
Hey,
getting understanding. This is wisdom, and with that, I always ask the crowd before I close out, what lane are you going through? I mean, everybody has a lane when they're driving their car, right, Michael? We're all going through a lane: Highway 10, Highway 95, Highway 7. What lane are you going through? What are you leading? The key is it's called the lead effect. And I close out with this: the L stands for listen. Everything that Micah has given you today, ex major league player, minor league player, Japanese, he played in all kind of league. What did you get from this today? Because faith comes by hearing. You got to hear it. Listen. If you don't listen, you can't do anything. That's the first thing we need to learn how to do. The next thing is E. Execute what you just listened to. This is called the lead effect. I call this the lead effect, Micah. And the last thing is dominate. Listen, execute, and dominate. Because God's given everyone a gift. Try to be who you are, not try to be someone else who you're not to be, and you'll go right in the right lane. This is Coach Laurie, a very own Micah MLB player that has played 1,141 minor league baseball games. My very old friend, my Jewish brother. Hey,
yes,
peace out,
sir.
bro. We'll meet again. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Signing out. All right. Take
All
it easy.
right now. All
All right,
right.
bro. Thanks a lot.